G'day world. Let's get proactive with your marketing and go through the proactive process, proactive marketing methodology, and chunk it down into its separate pieces, its separate processes, just like we've gone through before. But I want to give you the whole picture and why that's all very important. In my book, Building Brands on Purpose, I revealed the proactive marketing methodology to the world in 2021. And since then, it's evolved. It's been tried and tested and pressure tested in the market, used here in our agency day in, day out. And of course, it's evolved and gotten better. So all of these videos that we produce actually supersede what's in the book right now. And I expect in a few years' time, I'll rewrite that book and reveal, I guess, those updates, as well as what's happened with AI and changes in the marketplace and changes to channels and all those things that will affect how you might perform your marketing strategy. So first of all, we went through the proactive marketing methodology and I showed you different ways in which it's used. So first of all, it was the proactive process. So that was processing your thoughts into a framework to see if it's viable, has legs, if you have the right team on board, staying power, investment, all that sorts of things. So then it moved to the proactive team planner. So you took that idea to your team and worked it through to see once more if everybody thought it was a good idea, one, and two, if there was things that you hadn't thought about in order to process that proactive methodology or that idea that you've got to the next stage, which is the proactive research stage. So the team planner tests it and says, hey, yeah, okay, you're not going crazy. This is actually a good idea, but how about we go to the market now and figure out whether or not the market is ready for this idea and what needs to be done in order to move forward with this marketing strategy. So in that proactive research, you went through lots of different stages in more detail. So, we understand, I think, what the proactive methodology stands for now, but just to reiterate, P equals purpose, R equals research, O equals opportunity, A equals audience, C equals content, T equals turn it on, I ignite, so what investment, V, verification and validation, how are you going to test and measure success, and E, how is it going to evolve? So the process of all of those things coming together looks something like this. Yes, you've got the proactive process, bam. Next, the team planner, then the proactive research that is done by one or a few people, so all researching and going deep. Obviously mentioning that proactive research should actually include workshopping with your team. For example, when we're looking at the if I just zoom in here, passions and values and the problems and the people that we're going to be serving, with this marketing methodology, marketing plan, marketing strategy, we need to have multiple people involved there. Okay, so how are we going to benefit the planet, etc.? What product and what are we going to do with the profits? Are we actually going to, support a cause or anything like that? Okay, and then this moves back to, right, once you've done those top three proactive methodologies and processes, then we go into a one-page marketing strategy. And that is your annual marketing strategy, your proactive strategy. And you can basically chunk that down into, just like you would have done in a team planner, what problems are you going to solve? Now, in an annual proactive marketing strategy plan that you're looking at here, you could chunk this down into the 4 quarters of the year. And the speed at which you approach a marketing strategy or are able to execute your marketing is based on how clear your marketing strategy is. first and foremost, and how well everybody in your organization understands it. So if you can explain it in this one-page marketing plan, then you're going to be able to move a lot faster, for one, but then it comes down to the size of your team and the financial resources that you have to be able to create all the content, distribute it, and obviously ignite it with that paid investment. So when we're looking at the annual proactive strategy, I like to say to people, hey, regardless of how your resources are for your organization, your team and financial, let's look at maybe chunking down the whole year into its quarters and go, problem 1 is the first quarter, problem 2, second, third and fourth, and so on. And then with the research, what phrases you're going to apply or chase after or optimize your website for or create content for quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the opportunities. With the opportunities, you can actually change throughout the course of the year. For example, in the first quarter, you might just be talking about the features and benefits. In the second quarter, you might be talking about targeting specific networks and becoming involved in specific networks. For example, you might join a new organization where you're sponsoring the events they're doing and becoming part of a community. Therefore, joining a community is a lot easier than creating your own new community sometimes. And that's, networks, physical networks are actually really valuable ways to get into the market. We might need to, in the third quarter, upgrade the platform or upgrade certain integrations that we have. For example, you might need to plug in some automations. So you might install HubSpot into your organization and start having a CRM there to track all your marketing and sales qualified leads, and then implement some automation around that. And quarter 4, you might just be improving on that. Yeah. So that's just an example of what you might do across the year, right? This is give people this notion that this is going to be an evolving beast, yeah, and we are going to be growing throughout the year. So the audiences that you target per quarter might actually be different as well. And sometimes that's actually a really great way to figure out if one audience is better than the other when you're hyper-focused on that audience. And so too, the content that you deliver to those audiences will be nuanced to that audience. So for example, if you're going after an audience of the older demographic that doesn't hang out on Instagram and hangs out on Facebook, and still reads blogs, then you might be creating blogs on a specific topic or topics that are underpinned by your number one phrase or problem that you're solving, and then deliver that just through that channel for the first quarter and see how that goes. Now, sometimes people will say, hey, look, a quarter? Really? Just focus on one problem? That's moving too slow for me. The thing is, though, that, like I said, the speed at which you can move is dependent on the size of your team and financial resources. So if you've got a bigger team, maybe this annual proactive strategy targeting one problem per quarter is actually too slow for you, and you're actually capable of doing 4 problems per month. Right? It is entirely possible, but that is dependent on your size of your team and financial resources. So if we look at this content that we're creating for Facebook and we're distributing it there to that audience, that first audience, and over the course of that quarter, we're just going to focus on that quarters, we see that, wow, this is really working. Albeit at the end of each month, we've actually assessed, the performance of our marketing campaign and made sure that we're actually tweaking and improving those pieces of content, the style of content, the way we're doing it, the targeting of the audience, the different interests and attitudes and lifestyles in that audience targeting, and we're constantly improving. And once we've got that right, that audience right, and we're happy after the first quarter, we're like, wow, we got that audience nailed. Fantastic. We know exactly what they want. They're right on the money. And now we can move forward into the next audience, and so on and so forth. And then you just, then you're building on some kind of foundation here. Yeah, you've actually built a foundation around that audience. Like I said, turning it on, the perfect example I just gave there was, hey, we're focused specifically on Facebook as a distribution channel there. And Ignite. Again, what is that investment that we're putting into that first quarter in terms of paid investment around the content that we're putting on the socials and how we're boosting that content, albeit look at an entirely different scenario. We decided to go into cinema advertising, for example, and yes, we're committed to this particular plan for the first quarter, this content, etc., and that's going to be our plan, and we're going to test and measure that. Again, the verification and validation, what's the verification and validation in the first quarter might differ in the second and third, because as we mentioned earlier, the features and benefits and what we're doing in the opportunity realm, like for example, quarter one, we're focused on features and benefits of the product or the service. And then in quarter three, we're actually looking at implementing, sales and marketing automation through something like HubSpot, and therefore we're able to track different KPIs across, those different quarters. Yeah, tracking the number of marketing qualified leads that we've got in quarter one, when we don't actually have the ability to do that because we don't have the software like HubSpot installed until quarter three, is just ridiculous, right? So we absolutely have to have those systems in place and put in there. So in quarter one, it's at the end of every month, we absolutely need to be looking at how these parts evolve, yeah? And so that's your annual proactive strategy, right? We've decided, okay, we're focusing on one problem per quarter and go. But then what we would need to do is make sure that each month in that quarter is somewhat mapped out, right? We need to have a bit of a vision around, right, what are we going to be focusing on this month, yeah, and next month, and so on. And look, the next month is just a little bit looser than the first month, because that evolution, those things you're going to find out when you go to market, are absolutely going to inform, what happens in the second month. For example, that idea of, using that marketing channel and that piece of content that we created in month one totally tanked. Maybe the phrases that we were using were just so over people's heads that they didn't get it. So we absolutely have to evolve that to be saying it differently in month two. And that's why it's important to be market-led and evolve your marketing strategy month on month. So when we actually do the marketing analysis every single month, we need to break it down into pages. So look, this is the plan. This is what it looks like when we're going into it. But when we're actually analyzing it, it needs to be a document. And I like to use the word living document. That is, for example, it's either a Google Docs or a Google Slides or something along those lines, where you've got it shared with the whole team, and the first proactive marketing strategy that you've created and stepped out in that document then doesn't get overwritten, right? You actually then duplicate that and write the second month. So at the end of the year, you'd actually be able to go through that document and go, wow, we started there and we finished there. Wow, like we still stayed on track. We still managed to say, look, this is what we wanted to do. This was our purpose, our values, this was our plan, and this is how we're going to measure success. But we actually went a little bit like this with our nuanced keywords And a little bit like this, and maybe like this with our marketing channels, like the marketing channels that we started, the distribution and where we turned it on and we started with in month 1 versus month 12, totally changed. All right, and then the investment that we put into each channel changed. We might have started out doing, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Google advertising in the first quarter. By the end, we went, Google advertising didn't work, or Facebook didn't work, and so on and so forth. So, it's actually really interesting for your organization after you've gone through all of the seasons of the year and you've stepped through and evolved your proactive marketing strategy throughout the year. You can then go, wow, we're going into the next year so much more informed. We know things about the seasonal changes of the year. We know things about the market. We know things about our audience that if we looked at this and actually evolved from this information and made some informed decisions through that data, we shouldn't make the same mistakes again. And the second year will just be so much better, and so on and so forth every year, right? And what I've discovered is that it's around year 5 that we're working with clients that it's like, wow, we really know what's going on now. Yeah, it's the start of year 5. It's like, we've got this stuff nailed. We know that this works. We know this works and this works. But sometimes, it's you get a little bit complacent. You're on autopilot and you're like, we're only doing that because it worked last year. Is it going to work again? There's a little bit of hesitancy around that, but exactly why you need to constantly evolve, keep watching the market, and just not get complacent and be on autopilot. That's why being proactive is really important. Listen, I hope that makes sense. I hope you understand that this is an evolving methodology. It has many ways it can be used, but more importantly, as I mentioned, the speed and accuracy at which you can market depends on the clarity that you can give to your entire organization around your marketing strategy. And when being proactive and using this one-page marketing plan, one page, right? One page for the entire organization for the year. Great. One page for the month. Fantastic. We're all on board? Yes. Go. Then it gets evolved. Second month? Yep. Good. Go. Right? That's just clarity that means that, one, as a marketer, you've got buy-in from everybody in your organization. Everybody has agreed that this is the best way to move forward, and that means that you feel like you're not necessarily taking big risks here, and it's not all up to you. It's up to the entire team to make this happen, and we're all on board here. And I think that's a fantastic thing. That means that everybody's had a chance to provide their opinions, provide their insights, and when everybody's like working together and feels like they're actually part of the end solution, then it's far more motivating, and I think it really captures culture, the essence of culture, when everybody's worked together and everybody's listened to and everybody's valued. And I think that's why I say that culture is strategy. That's obviously the Seth Godin thing, but that values inspire purpose, purpose inspires actions, actions inspire culture, and culture is strategy. So let's get proactive with your marketing, and hopefully all of these videos have been really helpful. I'd love you to tell us if there's something specifically that you would like us to go through in more depth, and I'd like to offer some workshops coming up soon that will help you really get deep and dirty into that proactive research so that you and your team can fully understand the values that you guys hold dear and your purpose that you can all share. Thanks for watching.